This is Sports 225.
Well, I'm excited on this Sports 225 to talk to LSU baseball coach Jay Johnson. And, so I looked up Oroville, California, where you're from. Oroville is not in the middle of nowhere. It's way past the middle of nowhere up there, way past Sacramento, I guess near Chico. Is that the closest place?
Yes, sir. It's very rural, 30 minutes of nothing, and then a small town, 30 minutes of nothing, and then a small town. So great place to grow up. Hunting, fishing, very much like Louisiana. And I had a very good early life experience in Oroville.
When you were a kid, did you play all sports and a lot like in the neighborhood, not necessarily organized leagues and stuff?
Yeah, did both. My entire life has been built around athletics and being a part of a team. Pop Warner football, basketball from, grade school as young as you could play through my senior year, obviously baseball. And my dad was a really successful track coach. So in preparing for football, I would leave baseball games and go over to the track meet in time to run the 400 meters and the relays. And so, that was all the way through from as young as I can remember.
Well, I had a feeling you were going to say that. I wanted to ask you because topically it comes up so much. So often now, and baseball is a perfect example where kids just specialize. They're playing baseball from the time they're little kids and they're playing fall seasons, spring seasons. Forget the part about, overuse injuries like, throwing. But can you talk about the great advantages to being a well-rounded athlete and playing a lot of sports to becoming good at the one you're good at?
Yeah, 100%. A matter of fact, I have a friend in San Diego who's a very high-level pitching coach, but he's been a part of this study and talking about how elite athletes become elite athletes. And he says at a very young age, like even like 5 or 6, it's them moving their bodies, in different ways and trying to connect their mind and what their body wants to do. And if they can develop those mental patterns and processes, then they can expand into being an elite athlete in a very specific skilled sport. But you can't just stay in one lane and then become that. I think as players go up in age, I think I don't have any problem with the specialization thing or going all in, but I thought it was unique to see that a lot of the best guys, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, that have achieved at an elite level at a very young age, we're doing a lot of different things.
Yeah. Do you deal with kids coming in either broken or breaking when they get there? As a lot of sports, that's just the case. It's just what you expect.
Yeah, for no question about it. We had a pitcher on our team last year, Javen Coleman, who had Tommy John surgery and really dug into that, got it successfully repaired and all of those types of things. But I was on the phone with his doctor, Brandon Meister, and he's like, Coach, this basically happened a long time ago. Like this was gonna break, based on, really pitching a lot from, let's say, age 13 at the full 60-foot 6 inches mound on. And, there's a lot of studies out right now relative to youth sports and, specifically baseball, where kids are playing 6 or 7 games in a tournament in just 3 days. And so it's really not surprising when you look at it in that context.
Yeah. So conversely, though, baseball is so important repetitively, meaning like when you get to the higher levels, and let's just say NCAA college and then, beyond there, having done it thousands and thousands and thousands of times, whether it's field the same ground ball, throw to first base, catch the fly ball, throw to the cutoff man, I could go on and on. You have to react, not act. And so the repetition becomes so important. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right?
100%. I mean, you just said it. I mean, baseball is a game of monotonous repetition and becoming an expert in building the skills that you need to help contribute to your team winning, whether it's fielding, whether it's throwing, whether it's taking at bats, hitting good fastball mistakes, laying off or not swinging at balls. The only way you can do that is through games. It's very experiential. And there's a reason we work as hard as we do. And I think, it's something we really try to drive home here. And obviously you want to do everything in a layer or system that's going to help everybody stay healthy, grow physically, all those types of things. But it is one sport. You can't get better at it unless you do it. And that's why I kind of answered your question earlier of, early on, I think it's great to play multiple sports, and that develops athleticism, coordination that make these skills of baseball become easier. And then there probably comes a time where you got to put all of your focus to that. And so you can gain those reps, gain that experience, gain that skill building if you want to really become an elite player.
And finish this segment, as long as we've traveled this path about it, the part that always intrigues me is, especially late in the season, the weather gets hotter, the games get more intense, the innings seem to get longer, the at-bats take longer. So the mental aspect is the most important part of baseball. Or as Yogi Berra, what did he say? It's 90% mental and the rest is physical, or something like that, Yeah. But how do you, what's your key to instilling the mental end and having guys concentrate under the toughest of circumstances?
We work on it a lot. And if you saw my agenda for our first team meeting coming up this week, a lot of it is mindset. And we work on mindset every day in our program. You mentioned regardless of circumstances. It's funny, like we talk about toughness, and I view toughness as mental toughness. And our definition of that is your ability to focus on the task at hand, your job, no matter what else is going on. If I get this hit, we win the game. If I get this hit, we go to Omaha. If I throw this change up right where I want to, I get a pop out and we close out the game and win. And we all want the result, but baseball, because it's built around failure, because the skills to be successful are so tough, you have to be in the right frame of mind. And that's just your ability to focus on the task, no matter what else is going on. So we put it at the forefront of our players' minds from day one. I will bring in a lot of people to speak to our team relative to this. And in baseball, it's important in every sport. But in baseball, I think it carries an added value because you have that 12 seconds, between every pitch that if the pitcher goes wrong in the head or the hitter goes wrong in the head, it can really affect the outcome. Where basketball, football, sport like hockey, it's a little more bam, bam and reactive.
Or as Curly said in the Three Stooges, I tried to think, but nothing happened.
That's right.
He is Jay Johnson, the LSU baseball coach. And I'm Lee Feinswalk. This is Sports 225.
Who says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Back on Sports 225, hanging out for the first time with Jay Johnson, the LSU baseball coach. And Jay, I've become kind of like a post-pandemic recluse. One of these days I'll actually see you at Alex Box Stadium. But in the meantime, I'm just loving Zooming with guys. Jay's in Baton Rouge, of course. So am I. If I had told you all those years ago when you started coaching, and even probably as late as when you were at Arizona, as things began to change, that you'd spend so much time focusing on NIL and the transfer portal. And the transfer portal, in your case, has become an epic part of LSU baseball.
Yeah, I think anytime, and I've coached long enough now at the Division I level, 16, 17, 18 years, to where I don't give much thought to rule changes or parameters changing of what I think or like or don't like. I think about, okay, how do we react that's going to affect our program in a positive way? And so last summer was the first summer of the transfer portal, and then taking a new job that really benefited us in last year's situation. If you think about, the 2022 team where we won 40 games, jumped 6 spots in the SEC standings, played in a regional final, had a bunch of great wins. If you think about that team without Jacob Berry, without Riley Cooper, without Tyler McManus, without Eric Reiselman, without Bryce Collins, that's a lot different season than what took place. And so very thankful that happened. And then obviously moving forward this year with Tommy White, Thatcher Hurd, Paul Skeens, Christian Little, and Ben Napolt, those guys are going to be key players in terms of what we're doing now. I haven't given much thought whether I like it, I don't like it. It's the waters we're swimming in, and you got to go forward to it. With relative to the NIL question, I think it's a unique time. It's just so different than the college athletics that we've all grown up in or grown up on, or as a fan or as a coach or as a player, and it's part of the landscape. And so we're trying to always find ways of what we can do better to help our student athletes take advantage of it. In baseball, it's a sport that's not easy. There's not a lot of front page recognition or ESPN recognition for the college baseball player. And so I'm anxious to see how it goes and how much impact it actually has.
Have you had to devote much time from your daily chores to managing NIL expectations or helping kids with that at this point, or are you still?
I think in recruiting meetings, the questions come up all the time, and you're not allowed to use it in a recruiting conversation because that would be an inducement, which is an NCAA violation. And so you certainly can point to, with the player's permission, maybe successes that players have had relative to the NIL space, but it's still really new. And again, it is so different than anything else that's ever happened, relative to how college athletics operate and run, that we're all kind of working and learning our way through it.
Didn't get a lot of money for the players. It was at Point Loma.
Yeah, as a former second baseman at Point Loma. Yeah, I mean, I remember having my baseball scholarship, my Cal grant, and still taking out a student loan just to, have 99-cent tacos from Jack in the Box at the bottom of the hill.
So the transfers you have coming in, they're coming from big schools. It's not, you got and Tommy White from NC State, Paul Skeens from the Air Force, a guy from Vandy, Christian Little coming from Vandy. I mean, the idea that a pitcher would transfer from Vandy to LSU just seems like, and then Thatcher Hurd coming from UCLA, your old conference. That in itself is kind of stunning that they're coming from these big schools. Not that they're coming to LSU, just that, these transfers are occurring.
Yeah, again, it's a different time. And it's something that, again, I haven't given much thought about. I mean, everybody's entitled to run their program the way that they want to run their program. And now kids are entitled to make a choice to go where they want to go. And I don't think we're far away from, if they want to leave 4 times in 4 years, they're going to have the opportunity to do that. So
and that's happening. Not only, I mean, it's happening in sports right now.
Yeah. The way I look at it is very simple, is if we don't go get a player that we feel like can help us go to the College World Series, compete for a national championship, the reality is he's going to end up at Mississippi State, at Arkansas, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, and the SEC, Auburn, and the SEC West is already the best division in college baseball. And you cannot succeed unless you have veteran players that have been through those battles and those wars and have come out and have the maturity to do what you need to do in a tight ball game to win. So we ended up with 5. There's programs that ended up with a lot more than 5, in our conference. I think ours got a lot of attention because of the quality of the player and maybe, as you said, the places that they came from.
You mentioned Ole Miss, Mike Bianco, great guy, LSU ties, of course, and all that. And a great story that they won the College World Series. Did you find yourself rooting for them, or is the rivalry part of it keeping you from, made you neutral? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah. I think, I'm curious to know what you thought as you were watching it.
Yeah. And, I mean, my history with them goes back a little further, or predates just playing them this season. We played Ole Miss in the Super Regional in 2021 at Arizona and really? beat them to go to the College World Series. And I remember the Monday morning after that, obviously I'm on cloud 9. We're going back to Omaha for a second time. I went over to the Marriott Hotel in Tucson to see my dad before he took off. That's where he was staying. And Ole Miss was staying, and they were getting ready to leave for their flight. And I saw their 2 assistants, Carl Lafferty and Mike Clement. And I remember telling them, like, looking around at the field that night going like, you guys could win the national title next year. Like, I mean, they had literally every position player back from that team. And it was a really impressive offensive team. And I think they were preseason number 1 in the country. And so it kind of called me the least surprised coach in America that they went on that run and did that. They came in here and played very well against us towards the end of the year. And I actually said after the series, that's the best team that we've played all year. And that's saying a lot, because we played 3 other teams that were also, or 4 other teams that were also, 5 other teams actually that were also in Omaha. So they played well, good players that played well at the right time. I think it just speaks to how good the SEC is when the 9th place team in the conference can win the national title.
Boy, no kidding, huh? Well, that's a great story about you and Ole Miss. We got to take a break. He's Jay Johnson, the LSU baseball coach. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Who says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Back on Sports 225, hanging out with Jay Johnson, the LSU baseball coach. Hey, you have guys who still play summer league, Cape Cod and all that's still a big deal, right?
Yes, for sure. I think on the position player side, it's imperative that they go do that and go play. Just talking about the experiential part of baseball. I think that from a pitcher standpoint, we're a little more careful of what we do and where we send them. I want their best quality pitches obviously thrown for LSU. So what we try to do is establish what does the player need and what can the summer do in pushing them forward to being the best player that they can be for us the following year. Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan had the opportunity to play for the collegiate national team, Team USA, which is a great experience and a great honor for them. So very proud of them. Jordan Thompson, Josh Pearson, Grant Taylor, those guys went up to the Cape Cod League, had some success there. Josh Stevenson played in the Northwoods League. Paxton Kling, one of our better incoming players, went and played in the Prospect League. McPaul, another good incoming player, played for a team out of Salt Lake City called the Utah Marshals. So that's always been a big part of programs I've been a part of, and something we'll continue to do here at LSU.
Obviously, every year you got players leave, you got new players come in. In your case, you lost a coach too. Tyler went to Cal Baptist, right? California Baptist.
We lost 3 coaches. Yeah. Tyler Nordgren, our director of baseball operations, who was someone that was really important to me. And
right. Been with you a while, right?
2 years, but it was a really cool story. I brought him from Point Loma to Arizona in January of 2021. And I literally said, hey, if you do a good job here for 18 months, now I didn't know it was going to be 2 schools at that time, Arizona and LSU, you will be a full-time Division I baseball assistant. And literally it was 19 months from the time that I told him that happened. And then Jason Kelly and Dan Fitzgerald, Dan to Kansas, Jason to University of Washington. So to have 2 guys that we brought on our original staff here now be Power 5 head coaches is something I think that's great. And we were really able to attract some great ones with Wes Johnson, the pitching coach of the Minnesota Twins, and Josh Jordan, our new recruiting coordinator from Duke.
Yeah, no, that was, and thank you. You made that way easy for me. I appreciate it. And full disclosure, we're actually putting this show together before Jay will have, by the time you see this, Jay will have met with the media earlier in the week talking about the 2022 team. So kind of like, you're filling in the gaps in reverse for me, which is cool.
Very good.
Yeah, something like that, however I phrased it. Now I feel like I just went back to the future. 4 guys got drafted and did really well. You had to be thrilled for those kids. Barry, Retzelman, Dowdy, and Gervais, and guys who have all done well since they got picked.
Yeah, I'm really happy for all of them. Jacob, obviously, he played for me at University of Arizona, was a national freshman of the year, made the decision to transfer to LSU. And you think about that, this is not a common time where players will follow their coach. You know what I mean? They kind of are all on their own path. And so he'll always have a special place in my heart. Hit 400 in the SEC, did a great job for us, hit 15 home runs, did a good job at third base. And to be the first college player taken in the draft or college position player taken in the draft is a tremendous honor. And I'm really proud of him for that.
He's got to feel like a family member to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I actually was out in Phoenix for the draft, got a chance. They invited my wife and I out there to go spend that with them, which honestly was one of the coolest moments of my entire coaching career, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's way cool.
And so proud of him. Cade Doty, I saw Cade play for the first time when he was 15 years old. And I'll never forget it. It's like Denham Springs, Louisiana. I think I'm going to have a hard time convincing this guy to come to the University of Arizona back then. But he really jumped out at me. And I remember when he forgoed the draft out of high school and came to LSU, my first thought was that LSU has a superstar player. And he was that for us last year. I mean, it's so many big hits, and I loved seeing him come to the plate every time that he came up to the plate. Really plays the game the right way, hard-nosed. He is a major league player, a surefire major league player, and I don't think it will take him long to get there with the Blue Jays. Off to a great start. The two pitchers are really cool stories. You know, Eric Reiselman got drafted by the Yankees. He did not have a good year the previous year in 2021, but what a lot of people didn't know was he tried to kind of rush back from Tommy John surgery and wasn't ready to pitch. Like, I think they were trying to get him to pitch at like 8 months or 9 months post-surgery, which I've never even heard of that before. It was actually kind of funny. He had like a 6.4 ERA, and it came out publicly that Eric was transferring to LSU, and Coach Bertman came into my office. He's like, "Why are you bringing a guy from San Francisco with a 6.4 ERA?" I was like, "I think this one's going to work out okay, Coach. Just watch." And Coach Bertman loves pitching. So it was fun. And he had a connection with Eric, and you know, really enjoyed seeing his success, but really proud of him, you know, to go from kind of Tommy John obscurity in the West Coast Conference to being, you know, one of the best relievers in the SEC. Pretty awesome. And then Paul Gervais, I mean, you're talking about a guy that got cut from his Division III school just a couple years ago, and again was one of the best relievers in the SEC, and now a professional pitcher. Pretty awesome.
Got to cut you off there. If we have any time left for the last segment, we got to go to this break. He's Jay Johnson. I'm Lee Feinswag. It's Sports 225.
Who says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225. Jay Johnson is with me. He's the LSU baseball coach. Go to sports225.com for all the show listings of when we're here on Your View, which is Cox 4. And after 3 segments of absolutely fabulous baseball talk, but not about the LSU team, there is a season coming up in 2023, and you guys should be good.
Yeah, it's the SEC, and we play a great schedule, so we don't take anything for granted. I'm very happy with some additions that we made on the roster. I'm happy with some of the improvements that some of the returning players made last year at the end of 2022. You know, but talent doesn't make us a team. Talent doesn't make us a winner. So we have a deliberate process that we'll start to work on the very first day of school and get these guys ready for February.
The heat that we have here, is it a good thing to help you prepare?
I think I love the weather. You know, I'm crazy, but you know,
well, you were in Arizona where it'd be 115 in the summer, but it's a dry heat.
Yeah. I think it is what it is. It's baseball weather, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
He is Jay Johnson, the LSU baseball coach. Fantastic interview. Thank you so much. You're prolific on Twitter at LSU Coach Jay. Follow him there. And hopefully we catch up again in the spring before your season starts. Thank you very much, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for watching Sports 225.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story.